You paid hundreds of dollars to sit in a metal tube flying at 900 kilometers per hour, crossing entire time zones in a few hours, watching movies at 35,000 feet. And the most uncomfortable part of the whole experience is a tiny pocket of air inside your skull. Not the turbulence, not the recycled air. A bubble. Your ear isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do, just in a situation it was never designed for. So why does it only happen going up and coming down? Why does swallowing fix it, but only sometimes? Why do babies scream so much harder than adults? And what is actually moving inside your head right now? Here's the thing most people don't know. Deep inside your ear, behind your eardrum, there's a small hidden tunnel called the Eustachian tube, roughly the width of a pencil lead, that connects your middle ear to the back of your throat. Your eardrum is basically a thin sheet, like cling wrap stretched tight across a hollow space. And for that cling wrap to sit perfectly flat and work properly, it needs equal air pressure pushing on both sides. The inside and the outside have to match. In normal life, your Eustachian tube cracks open constantly, every time you swallow, every time you yawn, letting tiny puffs of air in or out to stay balanced. You never feel it. It just happens, which means you've already been popping your ears dozens of times today without ever noticing. But a plane does something your body never evolved to handle. Here's the misconception. When your ears start aching at 30,000 feet, most people assume something is going wrong, like the plane is doing something to them. But nothing is malfunctioning. Your ear is actually reacting correctly. The problem is speed. A plane cabin isn't pressurized to normal sea-level air. It's typically pressurized to the equivalent of about 6,000 to 8,000 feet above sea level, roughly the height of a tall mountain. And that pressure shift happens in minutes. Your Eustachian tube is a slow, quiet system built for gradual changes, like walking uphill or driving into the mountains over an hour. It was not built for a metal tube rocketing upward at hundreds of kilometers per hour. The pressure gap builds faster than the tube can equalize. And that's when you feel it. The pop isn't damage, it's the tube finally catching up. But here's where it gets crazy. The pressure doesn't just push on your ear from the outside, it physically moves your eardrum. On the way up, the cabin pressure drops, but the air trapped inside your middle ear is still at the higher ground level pressure. That means the inside of your ear is now pushing harder than the outside, and your eardrum bows outward like a balloon being pressed from behind. Then, on the way down, the cabin pressure rises again, but now the outside air is pushing harder than what's trapped inside, and your eardrum gets pulled inward, like someone pressing a thumb into a drum skin. The pop you feel is the Eustachian tube finally snapping open, releasing the trapped air and letting the eardrum spring back flat. That muffled sound, that full, stuffy feeling, that occasional sharp pain, that's your eardrum being physically bent out of shape. And that's why descent usually hurts more than ascent. Going up, excess pressure inside your ear naturally pushes the tube open and escapes on its own. Coming down, the tube has to be pulled open against resistance, and that takes real physical effort from your muscles. This is the part everyone misses. Swallowing actually works, but not because of the saliva or the act of swallowing itself. When you swallow or yawn, you fire a set of small muscles in your throat that physically tug on the Eustachian tube, pulling it open like a drawstring on a bag. That's it. That's the whole trick. Chewing gum works for the same reason. Not the gum, but the constant jaw movement keeps those muscles firing. The Valsalva maneuver, where you pinch your nose and blow gently, forces a small burst of air up through the tube and pops it open from the inside. But gently is the key word. Blow too hard and you can actually push bacteria from your throat up into the middle ear. More on that in a minute. Now here's the one that hits different. Babies. Babies can't yawn on command. They can't consciously swallow to fix it. They have zero tools to equalize the pressure. So when their eardrums are being bent inward during descent and nothing relieves it, they scream. Not because they're scared of flying, not because they're being difficult. They are in real physical pain, and they have absolutely no way to make it stop. But there's a version of this that makes a routine ear pop look like nothing. It's called barotrauma, which just means pressure injury. A normal ear pop is a quick equalization, mild, temporary, fixed in seconds. Barotrauma happens when the pressure difference gets too large, or when the Eustachian tube is blocked. and can't open at all. The eardrum stretches past the point of comfort. In serious cases, it can fill with fluid, cause intense pain, or in rare situations, rupture. And the place where this happens most often isn't a plane, it's underwater. Because water is about 800 times denser than air, pressure increases dramatically with depth. Descending just 10 meters underwater, that's roughly the depth of a typical backyard diving pool, doubles the surrounding pressure on your body. On a plane, that same pressure change takes 20 to 30 minutes of climbing. Underwater, it takes under a minute. That's the pressure shift of going from sea level to the top of a mountain in 60 seconds. Early Navy divers in the 1940s learned this the hard way. There was no formal equalization protocol. No one taught them to pause, pinch, and gently blow every few meters of descent. They forced their way down, and some came back up with ruptured eardrums and permanent hearing damage. The rule that every diver now follows, equalize early, equalize often, and if it hurts, go back up, came from real injuries, from real people, from the ear doing exactly what it's supposed to do, and being pushed past its limit. Now here's the wild part. Your ears aren't the only place this plays out. Pressure equalization is happening around you constantly, and you've been feeling it your whole life without connecting the dots. Mountain roads, every long drive up a winding pass, your ears pop the same way they do on a plane, just slower. Fast elevators in skyscrapers, that strange feeling in your stomach and your ears as you rocket up 50 floors in 30 seconds, that's the same pressure difference hitting faster than the tube can adjust. Swimming pools, dive down to the deep end and you feel that squeeze around your ears almost immediately, especially if you go head first. Roller coasters, every steep drop is a fast altitude shift, and your ears feel the pressure ripple before. Your brain catches up, yawning when you're tired, partly your body craving oxygen, but also a small, automatic equalization event that you've been doing your whole life without knowing why. Train tunnels. When a fast train enters a narrow tunnel, it compresses the air inside like a piston, and you feel a brief pressure wave hit your ears before it equalizes. Weather changes. On days when a storm front rolls in and the atmospheric pressure drops sharply, some people with sensitive Eustachian tubes feel that same fullness and pressure in their ears, and they can't figure out why. Sinus infections combined with flying. This one is brutal, because a congested Eustachian tube can't open at all, meaning the pressure has nowhere to go, and what would normally be a minor annoyance becomes genuine sharp pain for the entire descent. Concerts with heavy bass, not quite the same mechanism, but the physical pressure of sound waves at high volume actually moves your eardrum back and forth rapidly, which is a close cousin of the same effect. Shooting ranges, a gunshot produces a sharp pressure spike in the air, and the ringing and muffling you feel afterward is your eardrum reacting to a sudden mechanical shock. Even the Valsalva maneuver itself shows up in weightlifting. When lifters brace their core before a heavy squat, they hold their breath and create internal pressure to protect their spine. Same technique, completely different use. You've been equalizing pressure in your body your entire life. You just called it yawning. Here's the trade-off, though. The Valsalva maneuver, the pinch and blow trick, can backfire. If you blow too hard, you can push bacteria from the back of your throat up into your middle ear. And one theory is that this contributes to ear infections after flights. Flying with a bad head cold or a sinus infection is a real risk, not just discomfort, because a swollen, blocked Eustachian tube can prevent equalization entirely, and the pressure buildup can cause actual barotrauma at altitude. Some people take a decongestant before flying to keep the tube clear. Not medical advice, just what some frequent flyers swear by. The fix is almost always free: a yawn, a swallow, a piece of gum. But you have to be intentional about it during descent, not reactive. Waiting until your ears already hurt means you're already behind. The moment the pilot announces the descent is when you start the jaw movement, not when it starts to ache. Your ears pop on a plane because a pencil-thin tube inside your skull can't keep up with a 400-ton aircraft changing altitude faster than evolution ever prepared you for. The pop is your body solving a physics problem. It's been solving it quietly your whole life. You just never noticed until you were 30,000 feet in the air with nowhere to go.